Hello and welcome to a very interesting car from Volvo. We're all familiar with the XC90, the 7-seater SUV that fits just about the entire family into the car. But now there's an EX90, fully electric, with all the space that you've become familiar from a car that's been around forever. Here's an interesting fact. Volvo say this car is so safe, and the previous generations of it, from 2015 onwards, there has not been a single person killed either inside or outside an XC90 anywhere in the world. And safety in a Volvo, it just goes hand in hand, and this car really will back up that statement because it has LiDar, it has pedestrian detection of over 800 feet. So what's this car like? Let's take a little look around today here on Now Beyond Cars, and could this be your next 7-seater fully electric car in your family? Now, just on the nose of the car, let me just briefly turn to the EX30 that we've had on the channel. You'll see there's some characteristics, particularly in the headlights, that have made its way, and this gives you an idea of the look of Volvo and where they're going over the next few years. And obviously, because this is fully electric, the grille is like something you haven't seen before. You might remember the XC90 of past would be a lot of chrome over the front. It's very, very different across the nose now, because it obviously doesn't need any air. These are the headlights I'm talking about, kind of straight out of the EX30. Very, very similar design. One massive difference on the inside of this car versus the EX30 will be screens, and we'll get to that in due course. Now, over the front of the windscreen is LiDAR. LiDAR is, how do we put this, a better educated form of safety equipment. It also enables the car to be up to level 4 autonomous driving if legislation and the conditions allow. So straight away you're going to notice that on the front of the car and say, what's that big bubble thing for? And yeah, it's LiDAR. So in terms of performance versions, there's twin motors. There is a single motor coming to Ireland. We're not officially meant to be telling you that, but that version will have 286 brake horsepower. But for the most part, you're talking at just either over 500 brake horsepower or a little bit under. Obviously, the fact that this car can take up to 7 people, you might want to use this car for things like family holidays. The towing capacity of the dual motor version of the car is 2.3 tons, so 2,300 kilos. If you want to tow a caravan, tent, you've got a good bit of flexibility there. For such a big car, it's going to have to come with the frunk, and that is the case. Kind of divided into 3 partitions. So not only can you store your Type 2 cable in here, there's also space for other things. A lot of frunks, you're getting the cable in, and that's about it. Drag coefficient is 0.29. That's slightly ahead of the Kia EV9, which is 0.28. Now, you'll notice there's no air curtains or anything like that to aid airflow. So Volvo have obviously achieved that with more of the design over quite a curvy bonnet and quite a sloped transition from the windscreen into the roof. Electric cars and huge wheels don't always go hand in hand when it comes to range. These are 22-inch, and you can see some of the suspension and the shocks supporting the weight of this fairly large vehicle just protruding there between the tyre and the arch. And rather than have one solid colour the whole way, you have a bit of black, so two-tone going on for the lower part of the car. Again, to help with aerodynamics, the door handles are flush when not in use. They just pop out when you do want to open the doors. Sticking with the styling of the EX30, so the rear light cluster is very, very similar. Also the same with these rear daytime running lights. Interestingly, the tow bar is quite small compared to the rest of the car. That's something that just struck me earlier on. A lot of EVs being left without wipers these days. Not the case on this car. That is huge. Possibly one of the largest rear wipers I have ever seen. But then again, it has quite a large rear window that it has to cover. Model designation is just down here at the bottom of this light. And if we get an idea of the boot space. So even with the extra row of seats up, that's a very usable boot. You're going to get a week's shopping into that. Obviously, depending on how many people are in the house, but certainly I think for the average 2 adults, 2 kids, you get a week's shopping into there, no problem. You can also raise and lower the suspension for easy access if you get in here. And there's a button there for the tow bar also. And quite unique to this car, you can fit the rear parcel shelf under the actual boot, and then you've got all this storage down below also for storing cables and things like that. Again, that would seem like, you know, that should be normal, but there's quite a lot of cars where you can't put that parcel shelf anywhere. And then if you want to make your boot bigger, so the way these seats, they kind of lift out of their hinges down below, so they slide as well, which will give you access to the 3rd row. Now, legroom is not massive there. It feels like the EV9 will have more space for your 3rd row of passengers. And maybe unexpectedly, you have a kind of a cover here that zips open. A lot of the car has been using recycled materials where possible. I think there's 50 kilograms worth of recycled materials being reused in it, and the seats kind of have that same finish to them. Usually made from things like recycled fishing nets, but still a very premium feeling seat, very comfortable, which kind of goes hand in hand with the Volvo seats. They're always really, really comfortable. Charging port is on the passenger side of the car. DC charging with 11 AC on board. The option over the air to potentially increase this to 22 kilowatt. The EX30 does have 22 kilowatt as standard, so I'd imagine we'll see this pretty soon once the car launches. You do climb up into the car, so for smaller kids they might need a little bit of assistance getting in here. You can also adjust the bench with handles underneath the seats, so moving them back and forward, giving you more space in the back for rear passengers should they need to, and for shorter leg passengers in the middle, you'll probably have the younger kids in the middle row with closer access to them, so you can give yourself more space in the back should you need it. Can't ignore this massive array of glass in the vehicle that goes nicely back in towards the rear passengers, so they shouldn't feel like they're too left out. There is an armrest that when you open, you see opens with dual doors. It would be nice to see something like a tablet holder back here, and quite a neat armrest. It doesn't fully come out here, so it's quite short in terms of space for feet. USB-C charging points just in the dark down here for passengers. There's nets on the back of these seats. Very comfortable seats in the back of the car. I'm not really surprised because Volvo do pride themselves on how comfortable their seats are. This model comes with a Bowers & Wilkins sound system. Privacy glass is here. Probably would have expected to see sun protection blinds, but they're not. Isofix points protruding even in the 3rd row of seats. What is interesting perhaps is stuff like USB charging and air doesn't seem to be in abundance, and for the 3rd row passengers the way it is for the EV9. More of the safety kit that's on board. These are cameras that give you a projected view from behind the car, aiding blind spot and other safety, again to do with LiDAR. From a family point of view, the doors open reasonably wide. I probably would have expected them to open wider. That's the angle that is at its maximum. Jumping into the vehicle then, we have a head-up display. We have this additional center screen, and you have a driver's screen over here, which is displaying a range of a little bit over 600 kilometers. Volvo say they have matched the spec of their cars like for like with the UK since 2015. A lot of physical buttons on the steering wheel. Again, these are quite similar to the EX30 for the wiper and gear selector. Much like the EX30, the buttons that never leave, the stuff you're going to want to use most often, down in the shortcut bar here. But people will criticize in some circumstances that things like the glove box and even the hazard lights are on the bottom of the screen. I do like this Google system though. It's very quick. It's the same as what you'd have on your phone, and one of the best features of it is you put in your destination and it will tell you how much charge you'll have when you get there and how much charge you'll have when you get back. to where you've left. This button here will cover a lot of the features that you'll want to do, including volume up and down for tunes. Beside it is a wireless charging plate that feels quite small. Armrest wise, quite a narrow opening, but then it's actually quite deep, and it has an extra layer that you can use to keep stuff extra hidden. Sub as part of the upgraded sound system. Overview camera, a lot of the stuff in the car now is on demo mode, so I can't really show you a lot of the features. Some of them will work, but for example, bringing you back onto camera isn't actually the view of outside the car today, and the range button and stuff like that, I can't actually get into shortcuts. But look, we'll have some of the details in this car in far more detail in the near future. Just giving you an idea of the air quality and some of the parts that are accessible today from climate control. And again, all of this fed through this center screen. We lost the buttons for windows in the door of the EX30, but again, they have made their way into the EX90, so you'll operate the rear windows here and your main driver window, and similarly over the other side your passenger will have access to opening their own window, so you don't need to go in towards the center of the car. Cool feature, it will be possible to get speakers in some of the headrests in the vehicle depending on the sound system. Also, not that I want to keep comparing this car back to the EV9, but similar kind of pattern in the headrests. The EV9 is made from the back of kind of lumbar focused office chairs. This is more of a fake leather feel, but I still think there's a bit of a comparison there. Then for those who require more space, like for example in a normal ICE car you wouldn't have been able to get this extra room here. This would be for a transmission tunnel, so this is one of the benefits of electric vehicles. You can have extra storage where you haven't been able to have it in the past. It's also a big selling point from a car designer point of view. They can now do things with cars in terms of interior space that they just wouldn't have been able to do in the past. 8-year warranty, or 160,000 kilometers is the warranty of the car. The allocation has been sold out for 2024, so if you want one for January next year, you'd want to order it now. And Volvo tell me they got more cars than they thought they were going to get, and they still managed to not get enough. So there seems to be huge interest in this vehicle. I have to say I have seen a lot more EV9s on the road than I thought I would see as well. The price of this vehicle is €117,000, which is a lot of money. There's a lot of spec on this car, the LiDar technology, things that are future-proofing cars that really very few cars are coming with today. But from a safety point of view, it has to be one of the safest cars Volvo have ever made, and the sales figures, without even really this car being advertised, speak for the interest that people are going to have. Two battery sizes, 111 kilowatt hour and 104 kilowatt hour. That would be the version that will come on the single motor version of the car. In terms of DC charging, 250 kilowatt DC charging. As I said, 11 AC on board for now. That could potentially be increased to 22 with an over-the-air update, which seems like a lot of this car could potentially be bettered as time goes on, and additional bits could be added onto the car from those over-the-air updates. This colour, if you're interested in it, by the way, is Vapor Grey. There's a cloud blue that you may have seen on my video of the EX30, but Vapor Grey is this kind of like a flat, but still looks metallic at the same time. So let me know your thoughts on this flagship halo car from Volvo. Would €117,000 put you off, or would you be in the camp of get what you pay for, huge technology, battery size is well beyond what most people are really going to need? You're talking about 500 to 600 kilometers out of a single charge. Would this be the vehicle that you need size-wise that would convince you to spend this money, or convince you to go electric finally? Because now you have an option that can tow, can carry, and has all the safety features that you've come to know in Volvo. Let me know if you're interested in the comments down below. Thank you very much for coming with me this far in the video today, and I'll talk to you on the next one.